Okay, this is the quote-unquote official video. I guess talking about my Mackinaw wool coat here, which is called a timber cruiser. Okay, this is what they called them back in the day. Some companies called them also hunting coats or some jazz like that. I don't remember exactly. But the thing is that they are all, these older ones are all timber cruisers, and what that means is that they were designed for guys that had the job. Timber cruiser. And a timber cruiser was a guy who went into the woods and with maps and compass, and he would decide what trees needed to be removed. Okay, so he worked for the Forest Service and the timber companies, and you know, saying, oh, okay, this tree and these trees here on the map, these are dead trees, just remove those. These trees are okay to harvest for lumber, and these trees need to stay left alone, and things like that. And they would have their maps, and they would mark on the maps. Now, on the back of these coats are two vertical button openings into the back. Alright? And this particular one, now my buttons are red. They're the same color as the coat, so they're going to be harder to see. But these actually button shut. You can stick your hand in there, and it goes, there's a whole area back there that you can access between the lining and the back of the coat. Now, in this particular coat, it has a nylon lining. Okay, nylon and something else, can't remember what. But this coat is 90 years old. But the inside there, that's where they would keep the maps that they were taking with them out into the field. So what they would do is that morning they would just get out whatever maps that they were going to be using when they went, you know, walking in that area, and the other maps would just stay in that back pocket area. And they had it like that so that they could just have plenty of room for maps flat inside of there, so they could roll them up, put them inside, and then open them up on the inside, and they'd flatten out, you know, and go from there. Now, they also had a specific compass pocket here on the front. This small pocket is designed to hold a compass. And I think, or maybe it's this one. Yeah. Well, either or. You could put a compass in either one. Now, actually this one here on the right chest here, this is actually the compass pocket. Now, this particular pocket is, I think they used to put their writing implements in here, a grease pencil or a regular pencil. Some of the coats had actual sewing to keep vertical implements in there. Anyway, I don't carry anything like that, and I wouldn't carry it in there anyway if it were me. But then you got these slash pockets here, which actually go into the interior of the lining. So it's like this really huge area in here. Okay, and you could put all kinds of stuff in there for your day's journey. If you wanted to put a plastic bag in there with a sandwich and things like that, you know, for your lunch as you're out there walking, you could do that because there's this huge space, and this is on both sides, right? Now these are quote unquote hand warmer pockets, right? You can button those shut, but you really don't need to, because when you're standing upright, they're unbuttoned right now because I never button them. Because what happens is when you're standing up wearing the coat, they just naturally close anyway. And even in a high wind, it doesn't open them. So, you know, they naturally want to stay closed. And then you got some other regular pockets here that you could put little doodads in if you want. But I don't really put anything in there. I'm going to have to trim my hairs around my mustache because it's making tickling my nose. So anyway, what's the point of all this stuff? Well, this particular type of coat has become more of a fashion item with the in the modern day. A lot of people do not see the utilitarian side of this coat, and that's a bit of a shame, because this is a really great coat, and you know, you could consider this literally a survival item in very inclement weather. Now, one thing that you can do as an outdoorsman, now if you want to go hunting, or maybe you actually work in the timber industry, or you work for the Forest Service, and you get you one of these coats that has this big map pocket in there, one thing you could do is you could, and I always advocate this, whether you're wearing this coat or whether you're just going somewhere outdoors, is to take contractor bags with you. Okay, contractor bags, several contractor bags that you could fill with leaf debris and things like that. Okay, now one thing you could do is you can always keep a heavy duty thick contractor bag in your map pocket. Now what do you want to do with that? Well, you can open it up on the inside of the back of the coat, and you can stuff it with the debris, and that will act as a way to create, you know, insulation through warming up the air that's trapped. Okay, so think of this as like a way to trap air, like in your wool garment. You got all these air pockets in here, and these are tinder bags of tinder, and I have always carried pre-made tinder forever, for decades. And these are two bags that I had made up a number of years ago. And I always carry these on me in my coat. This particular one is paper birch. So birch, paper bark, and there is also I think there is also some cedar shavings in there. Now you put this inside of your coat, right? So I'm going to open up the back of this timber cruiser here, and I'm going to put this in there. Now this will just simulate, you know, what I would do with a large bag. So if I just stick this in there, and if you want to be double safe, you can go ahead and take this shut. Okay, so you don't get a bunch of crap. You know, use box tape, packing tape, you know, the clear stuff. Just fold that over and tape it. And that will make sure that it doesn't accidentally open on you. So anyway, you put a few bags of this in the back, and that will act as an insulating layer, right? And it's thin. So you can do that. A lot of people do not think of these types of things. I mean, only an outdoors person in this modern era would think of things like that. But let's say in my case, right, I have an 18-inch neck, so I can't button the top button. One thing I like to do is to wear my wool sweater jumper, and I like to pull the ends of it out. Now there's a cuff, a wool cuff inside of this wool sleeve. They used to make the inner cuffs out of wool years ago. I don't think they do that no more. So I cannot button this top one, right? But I could button these others, and but I can close the top. I generally use a scarf. Now here, this is a cashmere scarf from Scotland, and I got this last year. Unfortunately, it has a Union Jack on it. It should have a St. Andrews, but it's got a Union Jack on there. It says 100% cashmere. But anyway, I could bring this up around my collar and then just tie it shut if I want. But and then tuck the rest down in the front there. So, and I have a larger scarf that is also cashmere. I have a larger scarf, much larger, and it's solid red, and I can use that for that purpose. You guys have seen me with that and talk about that on this channel before. But anyway, these are just some tips you could use with your coat. You know, like I said, contractor bag. Get you a contractor bag and always keep it in that map pocket in the back. Now that map pocket is accessed by both sides. Both of those vertical pockets go to the same area. Unfortunately, you can't buy this coat anymore. Woolrich is no longer Woolrich anymore. That company's name and stuff was bought out by some people that now make trash bag coats. They don't make any good wool stuff no more. You can't get it. So you have to go old. So if you want a coat like mine, this coat is 90 years old. You can date these coats by the tags. So they went by certain decades, basically. You know, so you could say, oh, between this era and this they built this coat. You know what I mean? Like 1940 to 1949, that sort of thing. That's what they were doing. So that means 14 minutes is up. But I know that I have stretched these videos a little bit further, so I'm not going to hurry up too much. Filson makes the double Mackinaw, which is a double sleeve and a cape across the top on the front and the rear. That's very nice, but they use 24-ounce Mackinaw wool. They don't, or yeah, I think it's 24. Maybe it's 21. I don't remember anymore. But anyway, it's not as heavy as this. I think it's 24. Stormy Kromer is using 26-ounce Mackinaw wool, but they don't have the map pocket. I would have bought one. I would have bought one here last year, but they didn't have the map pocket. And to me, the map pocket's a big deal because you could use it. I'm an outdoorsman. You could use it for adding extra stuff in there, in case you need to use it for survival, right? But they don't have that, so they lost a $550 sale because that's what they cost. They lost a $550 sale because they don't have mat pocket. And it's really a shame that they don't make things to the outdoorsman anymore. A lot of companies, they're just catering to people who wear them for looks in the city. And that's not, those companies, Filson and Stormy Kromer, they need to stop doing that because, there's plenty of companies that make stuff for fashion already. There's already too few outdoors purpose-built products out there. I mean, companies that deal purpose-built products for the outdoors person. There's too few already. There's no reason to cater to that market because they got to the fashion market because they already got so many anyway. They got too many. There's too many fashion conscious companies and not enough outdoors purpose built type companies, right? And I mean, Stormy Kromer, their designer, their chief designer there, their only designer there that I know of is a woman. I mean, I don't think she goes out and chops wood. Okay, I don't think that she goes out and cruises the timber or anything like that. Nothing against her as a person, but you don't take somebody who got an A in fashion design that should be in New York City and put them in charge of Stormy Kromer's design team. You don't do that. You take a guy, a man who is an outdoorsman who knows something, and if you do put her in that position, you take somebody who is working outside as a consultant, somebody with experience, a timber cruiser, or you take stuff from the past because there's obviously archives with companies like that. You take stuff from the past and you look at it and you say, what you don't say when you take an archived item, you don't say, oh, I'm going to screw this up and make it trimmer here and trimmer there and blah, blah, blah. No. I mean, it's got to be loose cut for a reason so a guy can move around when he's working outside doing stuff. I recently went to L.V.I. and I did buy a shirt. I bought a shirt. It's cool looking. And I said I wasn't going to get myself any Christmas present this year. But, the thing is that for me, a Christmas present is like something that you would not normally buy at all. Okay? I mean, it's got to be special. Anything for Christmas has got to be special. And it can be a high dollar item. Okay? And a $550 coat is a high dollar item to me. But I bought a shirt, and the woman there automatically told me that was walking around doing stuff. She automatically told me those fit close. So whatever size you are normally, you need to go up a size or two. And see, this is the problem. They're changing the sizes, the fit of a size, and they shouldn't be doing that. So normally I would wear a large or an extra large shirt, depending, on how I want it to fit and what type of shirt it is. But I think I bought a 2X or maybe even a 3X shirt in this L.L.Bean shirt because I wanted to be able to lift my arms. Okay. Now, with this coat, I can lift my arms, right? So if I'm standing up and I need to reach something over my head, I can lift my arms. There's no pull underneath there in the armpit. Now, a really good coat, I mean a really good coat, you're going to be able to lift your arms, okay? Even the modern pea coats, the Navy don't do pea coats no more. They shut them down in 2018, I think. The modern pea coats, even my modern pea coat, which I consider a modern pea coat, not World War II or whatever before, but those old ones, you could lift your arms over your heads because those were working coats. You had to climb up masts and things, right? So you could lift your arms over your heads. The modern pea coats, you can't do that because they're cut in a certain way, more for fashion than function. They need to get back to function. It's really a pet peeve of mine that they take a perfectly good wool coat that was designed to protect a man from the elements, and they just took the function right out of it, right? Now, what's the best way to deal with arms in a coat? Well, the best way to deal with arms in a coat is either to make them like this, okay, which I don't know what they call this cut, or you can put a diamond cut section of wool in there to where when you lift your arm, you'll see a big diamond in there. It'll look just like this. And they used to put those in Chuck Norris action jeans so that you wouldn't rip out the crotch when you did a high kick or whatever, because Chuck Norris, he's famous for that, right? Chuck Norris action jeans. So they used to put a diamond in the crotch of the jeans so that there wasn't any resistance. Well, you could put a diamond in the armpit of a coat, right? You could do that. It's the same principle. But we got too many companies that tout the outdoorsman. They're using us, guys. They're using us. They're using us as their poster child, but then they're turning around and they're making garments that don't work for us, but they look good for New York City walking around with their pumpkin spice lattes, okay? That's not right. We need to put our feet down. We need to put our foots. We need to put our feet down. And we need to send emails to places like Stormy Kromer and Filson and whoever else you could think of that makes stuff, has made good stuff in the past but changed it. We need to just inundate them with emails and tell them, look, you need to quit making this fashion crap and go back to the real stuff. Because it may look like something used for, the cabin in the North Maine woods or up in New Hampshire or whatnot, but it's not. They changed it. I mean, if I did order the $550 Stormy Kromer double Mackinaw coat, if I did order it, because they do 26-ounce wool, if I did order it, it would have to have the map pocket section in the back with the 2 vertical button closures. It would have to have that, and it would definitely have to be able to be used to where I could reach over my head without it pulling the crap out of the armpit area, right? It would have to be. As it is, I looked at the triple extra large simply because the double extra large would not give me enough roomy fit to where I could layer a decent amount of stuff under it. You know, I mean, if I'm paying big money for a coat, I want to be able to utilize it the best way I can for super cold weather. Right? Because it's not going to be a coat that I put on to walk the dog. It's going to be a coat that I put on to go out and chop some wood or do any kind of outdoor chore in the wintertime. Right? Now, I have gotten coats that I've inherited that had wood chips in the pockets still. See, that's what these types of garments were made for. They weren't designed to go out and walk the dog on the sidewalk. They weren't designed for that. If you want to do something like that, now I'm speaking to the different companies out there, Filson, Stormy Kromer, and others. If you want something like that to sell, make it a separate division of your company, and say, here's for you city folks, and here's for you real outdoors people that live out in the middle of nowhere, right? Have two divisions. That's not asking for much. I mean, you could really gain a lot of popularity by doing something like that. Anyway, out of time as usual. I'll see you later. By the way, it's getting pretty cool out there. It's not cold yet, but it's getting cool.